Every afternoon, at almost exactly the same time, this excavator loses power to half its dash. Then, 20 minutes later, it's fine again. Two mechanics already fixed this. Twice, it's still doing it. This is the full case file on an intermittent electrical fault, the kind that makes good mechanics doubt themselves, and the one specific test that finally caught it. Sight down. 3 episodes in, you know the drill by now. The obvious answer is rarely the real one. Today, the obvious answer is it's just old wiring. Intermittent electrical faults are the worst kind of job to get called out for, because by the time you show up, the machine is usually behaving perfectly. No specific brand gets blamed here. This exact failure pattern shows up on excavators regardless of what's painted on the hood. Cross-brand doesn't mean identical wiring diagrams. It means identical physics. Voltage doesn't care whose logo is on the door. This excavator's dash cluster, a couple of solenoids, and a warning light all drop out together, then come back like nothing happened. Operator's first report: it's electrical, obviously, which is true and also not helpful at all. The detail that actually matters, buried in the operator's complaint. It happens at almost the exact same point in the workday, every single time. Not randomly, not first thing in the morning, always after a few hours of run time, same as clockwork. First move, check the obvious stuff. Battery terminals, main ground strap, fuse box, all look fine. Everything tests good sitting still, engine off, multimeter in hand. Which is exactly the problem with intermittent faults, they don't show up on command. So before chasing wires randomly, let's go through the 3 real causes of an intermittent electrical fault, in the order they should actually be checked. Killer 1, a corroded or loose ground connection. Every circuit needs a return path back to the battery, usually through the chassis itself. If that ground path gets weak, everything downstream gets weird. Corrosion builds up slowly at the ground strap bolt, barely visible, but enough resistance to starve a circuit under load. The giveaway: multiple, seemingly unrelated components acting up together. One bad ground can look like 5 different problems at once. Simple test: voltage drop across the ground strap under load. Should read close to 0. Anything meaningfully higher means current's fighting to get through. On this excavator, the main ground strap tested slightly high, not dramatically, but enough to be worth cleaning and retorquing. Strap gets cleaned to bare metal, dielectric grease applied, torqued to spec. Reasonable first fix. Machine goes back to work. Next afternoon, same time, same fault. The ground wasn't nothing, but it wasn't the whole story either. On a Komatsu, ground strap torque spec and inspection interval are both spelled out in the service manual. Nada looks fine, judgment call. Killer 2, a chafed wiring harness. Wherever a harness crosses a pivot point, the boom, the arm, the swing frame, years of movement can wear through the outer insulation. Once the insulation's gone, bare wire touches metal on certain movements and not others. That's an intermittent short hiding in plain sight. The giveaway: the fault correlates with machine movement, a specific boom position, not a specific time of day. Simple test: the wiggle test. Engine running, gently flex the harness at every pivot point while watching the symptom circuit. On this excavator, wiggling the harness near the boom pivot did briefly flicker a warning light. A real find, just not the main one. That section gets retaped, rerouted slightly away from the pivot and protected with split loom. Also a reasonable fix. Machine goes back to work again. The flicker's gone. The main fault, dash cluster and solenoids dropping out, comes back the very next afternoon. Same time. On a Volvo, factory harness routing diagrams show exactly which pivot points are chafe risks, worth checking against, not guessing at. 2 real problems found, 2 real fixes made, and the actual fault nobody's asked about yet hasn't moved an inch. Killer 3, a connector with oxidized pins, and this is the one that explains the timing. Connector pins corrode too, just slower and less visibly than a ground strap. A thin layer of oxide adds resistance without looking obviously bad. Here's the part that matters. Metal expands as it heats up. A marginal connection can hold together cold and open up once the engine bay's heat-soaked. The giveaway is exactly what this machine's been doing. A fault that shows up reliably after a consistent stretch of runtime, once things get hot, and clears once it cools back down. Which means same time every afternoon was never a coincidence. It was a thermometer, and nobody was reading it as one. This test needs heat, not just a multimeter at idle. Let the machine run to normal operating temperature, then go looking with a thermal camera or a simple heat gun and a wiggle test. Every connector in the affected circuit gets checked this way, pins inspected, continuity tested warm, not just cold. One connector, tucked behind the engine bay near a heat source, showed visible green-white oxidation on 2 pins once it was finally opened up. Under bench light, the corrosion was obvious, the kind of thing a 5-second glance at a cold, dark connector would never catch. Confirmed with a warm continuity test, resistance climbed noticeably once the connector reached operating temperature, then dropped back down as it cooled. That's the fault, not the ground, not the harness chafe. A single connector that only fails once it's hot enough to expand open. Worth understanding why this one's so easy to miss, because it explains half the no-fault found tickets on any job site. Most diagnostics happen with the machine cold, in a shop, because that's when it's convenient to work on. But a heat-triggered fault won't show up cold. Oxide layers on a connector pin can be thin enough to pass a basic continuity check, yet still add enough resistance to matter under real load and real heat. Every day this machine ran, that connector expanded open in the afternoon and contracted shut again overnight. A fault that resets itself before most mechanics even show up. The ground strap and the chafed harness weren't wrong calls. They were real, legitimate problems that happened to exist on the same machine at the same time as the actual culprit. Which is the real lesson here. Finding asterisk a asterisk problem doesn't mean you found asterisk the asterisk problem, especially on an intermittent fault. So here's what actually fixes it, once the bad connector's identified. Connector gets fully disassembled, every pin inspected under light, not just wiggled and reassembled. Oxidized pins get cleaned with proper contact cleaner and a fine abrasive pad, not sandpaper, which can remove plating and make things worse. Dielectric grease goes into the connector body before reassembling, sealing out moisture and slowing future oxidation. Pin tension gets checked too. A loose pin socket will reoxidize fast no matter how clean it is going back together. Proper strain relief gets added near the connector, so vibration isn't working the joint loose again over time. Before anyone calls the job done, the machine runs a full duty cycle, including a hot retest at the exact time of day the fault used to show up. No flicker, no dropout. First time in weeks this excavator's made it through an entire afternoon clean. Worth saying plainly, this isn't a one-brand problem. Heat cycling connector failures show up across the board. On a Komatsu, the wiring diagram identifies which connectors sit closest to heat sources, the ones worth inspecting first on any intermittent fault. On a Volvo, dielectric grease and pin tension spec are both called out explicitly in the electrical section, not treated as optional shop practice. On a Case machine, the service manual actually recommends a warm retest after any electrical repair, for exactly this reason. 3 different badges, 3 different manuals, same underlying physics every time. Zoom out because the lesson here isn't really about wiring at all. An intermittent fault that can't be found usually can be. It just needs to be tested in the same conditions it actually fails in, not the conditions that are convenient to test in. So here's the actual order to check these, and why it matters. Grounds first, fast, cheap, and a bad one can mimic almost any other electrical symptom. Harness chafe points second. The wiggle test takes minutes and catches movement-correlated faults immediately. Heat-soaked connectors last, takes longer, because it needs the machine actually hot, but it's the one most likely to keep coming back if skipped. Checking in that order, and actually testing hot when the fault is time of day correlated, catches the vast majority of ghost electrical faults before you're guessing. Worth pausing on the cost side, because 2 successful repairs that didn't fix anything add up fast. A ground strap clean, a harness retape, and 2 site visits, versus 1 properly diagnosed connector repair done right the first time. Same lesson as every case file on this channel. The fast, obvious fix is almost never the fast, correct fix. So here's the standing rule for any intermittent electrical fault on this excavator or whatever's on your site. Note the exact conditions when it happens: time of day, run duration, boom position, ambient temperature. Vague complaints don't diagnose, patterns do. Check grounds first. Voltage drop test under load, not just a visual look. Wiggle test the harness at every pivot point while the symptom circuit is being watched. If the pattern is time or heat-related, test hot. A cold multimeter reading tells you nothing about a connector that only fails at operating temperature. Inspect connector pins under light, not just by feel. Clean dielectric grease and check pin tension before reassembly, not just after. Skip the pattern matching step, and you'll keep fixing real but irrelevant problems while the actual fault laughs at you from the afternoon shift. To be fair to the ground strap and the harness, they genuinely needed attention. They just weren't guilty of this particular crime. Informed operators log symptom patterns before calling it in. It's the single fastest way to turn a ghost into a 5-minute diagnosis. None of this is excavator specific either. Any machine with a heat-soaked engine bay and a few decades-old connectors can develop this exact fault. Every wiring diagram, connector location, and torque spec for machines like this one is already written down. Full workshop manuals for Komatsu, Volvo case, and pretty much anything else running an electrical system this complicated are linked below. Next week, the excavator that starts fine every single morning except one specific day of the week, and the calendar has more to do with it than the engine does. Site down, new failure every week.